Let's talk about our real estate frenzy. We're diving into the Eagle Hills project in Tbilisi, this massive development that saw its first phase completely sell out in just 4 hours. How on earth did that happen? Let's get into it. 4 hours. Yep, that's it. That is the total amount of time it took for the most anticipated real estate project in Tbilisi to be completely gone. Now, that's an impressive number, for sure, but the real story, the interesting part, is what actually happened inside those 4 hours. You see, behind that incredible sellout was, well, total chaos. There was almost a complete lack of information and this secret set of unwritten rules that basically decided who got to buy and who was left out. So today, we're going to break down what really went down and give you a playbook for what to expect next. First things first, to really get why there was such a frenzy, you have to understand the vision, the dream, behind this whole project. The demand wasn't just an accident. It was built on something huge. So what exactly is Tbilisi Waterfront? The scale here is, well, it's pretty staggering. This isn't just a couple of apartment buildings. We're talking about a 6 million square meters city within a city that stretches for 17 kilometers along the Mt. Kvari River. It's promising everything: luxury homes, 5-star hotels, a school, you name it, over 190 shops and restaurants. And here's the kicker: full freehold ownership for foreign buyers, which is a really big deal in this market. And the developer, the person behind all this? It's Mohammed Al-Bar. You know, the founder of Amar Properties, the guy who built the Burj Khalifa in downtown Dubai. So when a name like that announces a project, you can bet the entire international investment community sits up and pays very close attention. His reputation alone created a massive amount of hype. And as you can see here, this was pretty much the only pricing info people had before the sale. Not a lot to go on, right? A 1-bedroom apartment was looking to start somewhere between $115,000 and $170,000, with townhouses around $350K and villas at $560K. For a project of this caliber, those prices looked incredibly attractive, which just poured more fuel on the fire. So you've got a world-class developer, this grand, sweeping vision, and really appealing prices. It sounds absolutely perfect. But what was it actually like on the ground for someone trying to buy one of these properties? Well, the reality was a complete and utter frenzy. It was fueled by an almost total blackout of official information. You had buyers and agents who were basically flying blind, trying to come up with a strategy with almost zero details from the developer. The first step, the first hurdle, was something called an EOI, or expression of interest. This was a $2,000 payment that caused a ton of confusion. It didn't reserve a unit for you, it didn't guarantee you could buy anything. Think of it less like a deposit and more like a non-refundable ticket to the lottery. It was just the price of admission to even get a chance to play. And the timeline, it was just incredibly short. Only 10 days before the sale, word gets out that a single building is going to be available. The day before, agents are just scrambling to register their clients. Then, on the big day, at exactly 12 p.m., the payment window for the EOI opens, and it's just chaos. A week after that, people who manage to pay the EOI get their shot to pick a unit, and then, poof, 4 hours later, everything was gone. This quote from an agent who was physically inside the sales office just captures the moment perfectly. It was dead silent until the clock hit noon, and then all of a sudden, the only sound you could hear was payment terminals processing those $2,000 EOIs one after another after another. The race was officially on. Okay, so that was the chaos of round one. What does any of this mean if you're actually interested in the next phase? Well, let's turn all this craziness into an actual strategy. This is your playbook for round two. First, a new term for you, the BOI, or booking agreement. If you get lucky and actually select a unit, you get this initial contract. But here's the pressure point. You have only 24 hours to sign it and make your first big payment. 24 hours. That's it. So how do you prepare? Step 1. Do not fall in love with one apartment. You need a list of 7 or 8 options because I promise you your top picks will be gone in seconds. Step 2. Have your money ready to go. You need to be able to wire the EOI and the down payment instantly. Step 3. Be prepared to upsize. If you wanted a 1-bed, you need to be willing to pivot to a 2-bed if that's all that's left. And step 4. Be mentally and financially locked in for that 24-hour BOI window. There's no time for delays. And here's what the payment plan looks like. Once you sign that BOI, you're on the hook for 10% for an apartment or 5% for a villa, minus your EOI, of course. There's another payment due by late 2026, then 10% every 6 months. But the big one is that final 60% when they hand you the keys, which is planned for 2029. So yeah, this is definitely a long-term financial commitment. 3 really crucial details to keep in your back pocket. First, the resale clause. This is key. You can sell your contract after you've paid 20% of the property's value. Second, the developer has already said prices are going up with every new phase. And third, you should absolutely expect this strategy of limited information to continue. It's part of the game. You know, the developer actually spelled out their whole strategy with this one quote. They said, "When everything is known, the price won't be $2,000 per square meter. It will be $4,000. They're creating urgency on purpose. They're rewarding the people who are willing to take a risk early. That lack of information is the opportunity." And that brings us to the final question, really. The Eagle Hills Tbilisi project is a high-stakes game. It's this incredible, world-class vision mixed with a totally chaotic and confusing sales process. The risks are obvious, but hey, so are the potential rewards. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to navigate all that chaos for a shot at the prize?